the coastal fisher. Hannah was 33 years old and lived on the South Island of New Zealand. She had grown up near the ocean, and fishing was more than a job for her. It was a way of life. Her father and grandfather had taught her to respect the sea, understand the tides, and know the habits of fish. Hannah remembered early mornings standing on the dock with her father, feeling the cold breeze and listening to the gentle lapping of the waves against the boats. Those moments had shaped her. They taught her patience, responsibility, and the importance of caring for the environment. Hannah owned a small fishing boat that had been passed down through her family. It was not the largest or the fastest, but it was reliable and well maintained. Every morning before sunrise, Hannah would prepare her gear: nets, lines, traps, and ice for storing the catch. She knew the waters well, the areas where fish gathered, and the seasons when certain species were abundant. Fishing was not just skill. It required knowledge, observation, and respect for nature's patterns. As time passed, Hannah began to face challenges she had never encountered before. Large commercial fishing companies started operating near her village. Their powerful boats, modern equipment, and large-scale operations threatened the small-scale traditional fishing methods that Hannah and her community relied on. Fish stocks started to decline in her usual fishing spots, and she noticed fewer families visiting the markets to buy fresh fish. Hannah felt a growing pressure. Her livelihood, her family's heritage, and her connection to the sea were all at risk. Hannah thought carefully about her options. She could reduce her operations, try to compete with the large companies, or find a new way to maintain her business and protect the marine environment. She decided to focus on sustainable fishing techniques. Hannah believed that if she worked with the sea, rather than against it, she could preserve both her livelihood and the ecosystem for future generations. Hannah began by researching sustainable fishing practices. She learned about seasonal restrictions, catch limits, selective nets, and techniques that avoided harming young fish or marine life. She modified her equipment to follow these practices, even though it meant more work and smaller catches. Many people in the village thought her approach was risky. They suggested she should imitate the large companies, using faster boats and bigger nets. Hannah, however, remained committed to her principles. She understood that short-term gain could lead to long-term loss, both for the sea and her way of life. Hannah also started educating her community. She spoke with other small-scale fishers, local schools, and community organizations about the importance of sustainable fishing. She explained that protecting the fish population was not only about preserving nature, but also about securing future income for everyone in the village. Slowly, people began to see the value of her approach. Some joined her efforts, creating a small cooperative that shared knowledge, equipment, and strategies for sustainable fishing. In addition to sustainability, Hannah wanted to connect more directly with customers. She began selling her fish at local markets, emphasizing freshness, quality, and ethical sourcing. She shared stories about how the fish were caught, the techniques she used, and the importance of respecting the ocean. Customers appreciated her honesty and the care she put into her work. Word spread quickly, and soon Hannah's stall became known not only for fresh fish, but also for the story behind each catch. People began to value her knowledge, her respect for the sea, and her commitment to the community. Hannah also adapted to modern technology to reach more customers. She created a simple website and social media accounts, posting pictures of her daily catch, sharing tips about seafood preparation, and explaining the sustainable methods she used. Tourists visiting the South Island found her online presence and made a point of visiting her stall. They were interested in the traditional methods and loved the personal connection Hannah offered. She found a balance between tradition and modern marketing, ensuring that her cultural heritage was communicated effectively. Working sustainably was not always easy. There were days when the catch was smaller than expected, when weather conditions made fishing dangerous, or when tourists and local buyers did not come to the market. Hannah learned patience and resilience through these challenges. She relied on her knowledge of the sea, her careful planning, and her dedication to sustainable practices. Even on difficult days, she found joy in being out on the water, seeing dolphins or seabirds, and feeling connected to her ancestors and her community. Hannah also experimented with new techniques and products. She introduced value-added items, such as smoked fish, fish pies, and ready-to-cook packages. These products allowed her to maximize her catch, reduce waste, and offer variety to customers. She taught her children and young apprentices how to prepare these items, ensuring that knowledge was passed down and that the family business could continue. The younger generation showed interest in both the traditional fishing techniques and the entrepreneurial skills Hannah applied. One of the most significant challenges Hannah faced was advocating for regulations that supported sustainable practices. She attended community meetings, spoke with local government officials, and collaborated with environmental organizations. Her goal was to create policies that protected fish stocks, supported small-scale fishers, and balanced tourism with conservation. Hannah's dedication and expertise were respected, and she gradually became a voice for the community, influencing decisions that had long-term benefits for both people and the environment. Through her work, Hannah also strengthened the cultural identity of her village. She organized events where locals and visitors could learn about traditional fishing, the history of the community, and the spiritual connection between the people and the sea. She showed how fishing was not merely an economic activity, but a practice rooted in respect, cooperation, and storytelling. The community felt pride in their heritage, and tourists left with a deeper understanding of the local way of life. Hannah's daily routine remained demanding. She still woke up before dawn, prepared her boat, checked the weather, and navigated the coastal waters. She maintained her equipment, followed sustainable guidelines, and managed sales and marketing. Despite the long hours, she felt fulfilled. Each fish she caught represented a story, a tradition, and a responsibility. Each customer who appreciated her work reaffirmed the value of her approach. Over time, Hannah's influence expanded. Other fishers adopted sustainable techniques. Markets recognized the quality and ethics of locally caught fish, and tourists became ambassadors, sharing the story of Hannah's commitment. The local economy benefited, marine ecosystems improved, and the cultural heritage of the community was preserved. Hannah had shown that resilience, creativity, and ethical practice could overcome challenges posed by large commercial operations. Hannah also mentored young women interested in fishing, empowering them to participate in an industry traditionally dominated by men. She taught them the technical skills of handling equipment, reading tides, and managing catches. More importantly, she instilled confidence, independence, and respect for the environment. These young women became advocates for sustainable practices and role models in their community, ensuring that Hannah's impact would continue for generations. During difficult seasons, when catches were low, Hannah reminded herself of the bigger picture. Sustainability, education, and cultural preservation were more important than short-term profits. She kept detailed records of fish populations, weather patterns, and community engagement to measure the impact of her efforts. She shared these insights with local authorities and environmental groups, contributing to broader conservation initiatives. Hannah's work also inspired artistic expression. Local artists began collaborating with her, creating paintings, sculptures, and crafts that depicted the coastal lifestyle, fishing practices, and marine life. These collaborations attracted additional tourism and generated new income streams while promoting cultural awareness. Hannah's fishing practices and storytelling became central to a cultural movement that celebrated the intersection of tradition, ecology, and community. As her reputation grew, Hannah received invitations to speak at conferences, environmental panels, and cultural events. She shared her experiences, the challenges of sustainable fishing, and the importance of preserving local heritage. Her message resonated widely. Economic development and environmental stewardship could coexist when guided by respect, knowledge, and responsibility. Through years of dedication, Hannah transformed her small fishing operation into a model of sustainability and cultural preservation. She balanced traditional techniques with modern marketing, taught and inspired the next generation, and demonstrated the importance of community collaboration. Her approach ensured that the coastal way of life remained viable, respected, and appreciated by both locals and visitors. Hannah reflected on her journey and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had faced challenges, risks, and skepticism, yet her commitment to the sea, her community, and her cultural heritage had endured. She had turned adversity into opportunity, proving that resilience, knowledge, and ethical practice could overcome the pressures of modernization. In the end, Hannah's story was more than about fishing. It was about connecting with nature, honoring tradition, and contributing to a community. It was about showing that one person's dedication could inspire change, preserve heritage, and create lasting impact. Hannah's legacy was not only the fish she caught or sold, but the values she imparted, the skills she taught, and the culture she helped sustain. Her students, family, and community continued her work. Young fishers carried on her methods, respecting the ocean and maintaining ethical practices. Tourists and buyers shared her story, spreading awareness and appreciation. Hannah had ensured that her coastal village would remain vibrant, resilient, and culturally rich. Hannah's life exemplified how tradition and innovation could coexist. By honoring the past, adapting to present challenges, and educating future generations, she secured both the economic and cultural sustainability of her community. The South Island waters remained alive with fish, the markets thrived, and the spirit of the coastal fisher continued to inspire all who encountered it. Through dedication, wisdom, and care, Hannah had not only preserved a livelihood, but also strengthened the identity of her people. ensuring that their connection to the sea, their heritage, and their culture would endure for generations.